Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I thought I would share how I made these shorts, which you can't really see when I'm holding them up like this, but I will insert a few pictures in the video. And I've got back into sewing properly, and so I bought myself some new sewing patterns. So this is the McCalls M7726 shorts pattern that I use in the video. So I thought I would show you kind of my process in working out the sizing and the fit for the shorts, and a bit of the construction, although it's quite difficult to film when sewing in my experience. And then I'll come back at the end and just kind of discuss a bit of an overview of how the shorts have worked out and what I think of the pattern. I just came home and got this pattern in the post. It's the McCalls M7726, which is an incredibly sexy, catchy name. It's called the Mrs. Shorts Pattern, no, Mrs. Shorts Pants and Sash, which is still a fairly terrible name, but it does describe what it is. There's shorts, there's pants, trousers, and then there is some of them have a sash as well. Have to love the styling on McCalls and pretty much all pattern styling. It always looks incredible. They always have to have hoop earrings for some reason. Anyway, the ones I'm going to go for are the shorts. So just taking a look at the back of the pattern. So on here I can find my size. So I was looking at it before. It's really hard to read because they put it on the like flappy bit here. So I was looking at the waist and I was looking at size 10, which I'm normally around a size 10, and it says 25 inches, which seemed teeny tiny, but it is high-waisted. But even then I think that would still be far too small. I think around that part of my body I'm more like 27 inches, so I might try going for the 12 and do a kind of a test pattern, a test mock-up, and see if that's too big or too small and whether I need to go up or down. I don't know if these are more like American sizes because this is an American pattern, so I'm not really sure. And then looking at this, so if I want either the 10, the 12, the 14, and I'm doing style A, then it's about 1.5 meters of fabric if it's 45 inches wide, or 1 3/8 if it's 60 inches wide. And yes, sewing with US or UK patterns always includes a weird mixture of inches and also meters and centimeters, just to be incredibly confusing. And then also odd sizes up here. You can use the French one instead, which is just using centimeters, which, you know, seems a bit more consistent. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to go for. Like I said, I think I'll do a mock-up, and then I'll try ordering some fabric to make these shorts to hopefully be able to wear them when I go on holiday. So I made my toile or mock-up for my shorts, and I made it in the size 12, and obviously it doesn't fit. So here they are. They look just fantastic. This is just with some calico, and then I did use some cotton from a fat quarter for the nice purple pockets. So use a size 12 like I said, and it does feel a bit tight across the belly, but I could possibly eke out a bit of space depending on how I place the zip and by adjusting the pleats. But then I have too much fabric running across here in sort of this direction, horizontal, kind of where your thigh meets your abdomen, kind of the crotch line, I guess. And I've had this problem before. I always get this problem with ready to wear trousers and shorts, and I think there is an adjustment that you can do, so I'm going to try and do that, but it's just really frustrating because it's just more work. I think I'm going to have to pull apart the toile and then adjust it, put it back together, and then see if it fits before I actually cut into the real fabric. So that's my next step. So I made some amendments to my original mock-up by adding some more into the back and taking some out of the front. It was all very technical. And then I made another version of the mock-up. So I recut my pattern pieces, traced them, recut them based on what I'd done in the first toile or mock-up or whatever. And then I made them up again, and then that still wasn't right. So I had to take more out the front and put more in the back. And again, they look fantastic. This is an old duvet cover with dinosaurs on it, and then this has got a nice little bum patch where I put in some of the calico that I had left over just because I needed some more on the back. And they're still not 100%. They kind of feel like they need more taken out the front and more adding into the back. I've done it so many times though now, it just seems like a bit silly, but that's how it feels when I put them on. But this is kind of the best fit, so I don't know whether to make more changes to it or just to go with this, what I've got, and make it out of the real fabric. But once I've cut that, obviously I can't really like stick a calico bum patch on, so I'm not 100% sure what to do now. Hi, I'm back. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of the behind the scenes, as it were, and how I worked out making the shots and the toiles or mock-ups or test shots that I made in the fun dinosaur calico fabric. Yeah, the finished shots were made in this kind of dusty pink linen fabric that I picked up online. So overall, I'd say that it worked out pretty well. They are definitely wearable, and they definitely fit enough for me to wear them, but it's not perfect fit. So even after all the adjustments that I made, I still had the problem that there was a bit of excess fabric at the front and probably not quite enough at the back to cover all of my curves. This is the problem that I have with all ready-to-wear trousers and shorts, pretty much. So it's quite frustrating, which is one of the reasons that I'd quite like to be able to sew my own clothes, but obviously you have that same problem with getting the fit right when you're sewing your own clothes. Once I've cracked it and I figured out exactly how to do it, I'll be able to just knock them out, but it is a bit of a pain. And I think I'm probably going to go back to tops and dresses for a bit before I tackle any more shorts or trousers. So this fabric ended up being a little bit thinner than I thought when I ordered it. So I did actually just use some cheap fabric that I already had as a lining, and that didn't prove too difficult to actually add in. I just attached the lining fabric to the regular fabric, and then I just constructed them the same way that you would just following the pattern normally. The pattern instructions for this McCalls pattern were not too difficult to follow for the most part, but then there were some bits where the construction or the insertion of the zip, I found it really confusing, their instructions, and there was one step where you kind of attach the two legs together, and it's just the picture in the instructions, if I can find it, which it's just sort of baffled me as to what exactly. So this is the picture. I hope it will focus. Yeah, so I did figure it out in the end, obviously, because I managed to get the legs together, but looking at it, it's like an Escher drawing or painting or whatever. I just couldn't get my head around it. So I do always find that, for the most part, with commercial patterns, that there is always at least one step where I have no idea what they're talking about. I think it is probably just really difficult to explain it in just a few words and just those little tiny pictures. I have since then bought some other patterns and done some other sewing, so I have been watching videos on YouTube and have had some suggestions from those videos. So I tried some patterns by Tilly and the Buttons, and they seem to be really made for beginners. So they come with like an instruction booklet, which has photographs in it, colour photographs, which are so much easier to follow than like the drawings, and every step it gives you a nice instruction. And the patterns I've picked were ones particularly identified as being for beginners, so they don't have zips and buttons and complicated construction techniques anyway, so obviously they're a lot easier to describe and explain what to do, whereas these shorts have a zip. They also have pleats, 2 on each like quarter, so there's 8 pleats in total. And actually, I don't know how noticeable it is, but the ones at the front of the shorts are now diagonal when they should be lying straight, and that's because of the changes that I made when I was making my alteration to the shape and the fit of the shorts. It then affected how the pleats sat, and I couldn't figure out how to get it get them back to being straight. It just didn't seem like that was going to work. So that's kind of another problem that I'm having, that my technical skills and knowledge aren't good enough, that when I was making the changes to the pattern pieces, I didn't really know how to still make the pattern work with the altered pieces. So once you start like adjusting things, it does make it a lot more confusing. But overall, I'd say that I'm actually quite pleased with how they turned out. Like, they're definitely wearable, like I said. They don't look bad. They look pretty good, although they're not, like, obviously the best constructed piece ever. I think in the future, if I was going to do this again, I would for one thing pick a darker colour of fabric, because I think the pink is a little bit too close to my skin colour and it looks a little bit odd. But apart from that, I'm really pleased. So like I said, I've made some other tops, and I'm going to make some dresses and tops and things. I want to be able to take a few of these pieces on holiday with me, so they're more on the summery, warmer weather side of things, even though it's absolutely freezing at the moment, and the pictures that I'm including of me wearing the shorts were taken with me shivering in the cold. Was not an appropriate choice of outfit for the current weather. But hopefully when I'm on holiday it will be, and hopefully I will get some wear out of them. But like I said, I'm making some other pieces and I will include those videos on the channel as well. So if you'd like to see them, please give me a like, please leave a comment, and please subscribe.